It's always a question of how do I hold up all the books that I hauled. What's up, booktube? It's Leah Cooper, and today I'm bringing you my February book haul. So I did not buy as many things this month. I think, let me look at my spreadsheet real fast. I only purchased 17 things this month. I did buy a couple of non-bookish things or books as gifts that I don't include in that 17 number because they're like not going on my TBR, but I will also still show you a couple of them because they're kind of cool. So I thought I showed a lot of restraint. I'm going to start with, I bought 4 ebooks, so I'll start with those because I bought them at the beginning of the month. Rebellion / Solaris Publishers was having a 99p sale for Valentine's Day, and I picked up a couple things because they're like one of my favorite publishers. First thing I picked up was a multi-author anthology. It's Engineering Infinity. This is in the Infinity series by Jonathan Strahan. Let me see. Is it the first one? Yes. So this is the first one in the Infinity Project. It's the first multi-author anthology. I've read 2 others. I've read the last 2 in the series, which would be Infinity Wars and Infinity's End. I really loved both of those. I also just read Mission Critical, which is his 29 anthology, not in the Infinity Project. But yeah, so Engineering Infinity, presumably this is a bunch of like engineering or like tech related short stories. I also picked up another multi-author anthology that is Monstrous Little Voices. So this is, this has fewer authors in it. So I think they're slightly longer stories, but I think they're all speculative takes on Shakespeare. It includes stuff by Adrian Tchaikovsky and Emma Newman, who are both 2 authors I really love, so I figured I'd grab that. I also picked up a copy of The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal. So this is not necessarily a book that I was really into last year when it came out, but I have since read Mary Robinette Kowal's, the first 2 books in her Glamorous Histories. I think that's what the book is called, or I think that's what the series is called, and I enjoyed both of them, so I'm interested in this, and it was only 99 cents, and I know a lot of people liked it, so went ahead and grabbed it. And I also picked up a copy of Nine Fox Gambit by Yoon Ha Lee, which is one of my favorite science fiction stories. I've already read it. I have a review. Maybe I'll put it in the cards. You can check it out. I absolutely adore it. And I've wanted a copy for myself so that I can just reread it. So those are the 4 things I bought on ebook from that publisher. Everything else I bought from work. Consequently, technically, those are the only books I actually spent real money on too. They cost me about $5.13-ish after, no, it was a little bit more. I think after currency exchange and international transaction fee, each of those books cost me about $1.30, give or take. Not too bad. Okay, so then let's get into the stuff I bought from work. I'll start with the 2 things that aren't for, well, I'll start with this book that's not for me. That is For Horse Crazy Girls Only from the Breyer Horse Toy Company. I bought this for my niece. She's really into horses. She just started taking horse riding lessons from the lady I used to take horse riding lessons from so many years ago. And this is just a cute little book. It's got facts in it. Like, this is about famous racehorses. It's got stuff about horse grooming tools. It's got little stories. It's got little diagrams. It's got stuff about horses and tack and anatomy of the horse. It's just really cute. So I figured I'd pick it up and give it to her because she is in 4th grade, I think, or maybe she's going into 4th grade next year, or 3rd grade. No, it's got to be 4th. I don't know. I figured this was about the right age for her. And my mom said it was, so when I asked her. So yeah, I bought that for my niece. The other thing I picked up, this is not a book, but it is for me, and that is the Redwall map. It's a little beat up, but I got it for $1. It's got something called the Redwall Riddler in it, which I think just has a bunch of little Redwall riddles from the books. The main thing I got it for is obviously the map portion. So I'm going to very carefully unfold this so that you can see it to some degree. It's a map. of Redwall and all the lands around Redwall. And there's Redwall Abbey. And yeah, I just thought it was really cute. Redwall is like obviously one of my favorite books from when I was a kid. And yeah, I just thought it was really charming. I want to, when I have an office again in the future, I'd really like to frame it and put it up, like maybe by the bookcase where I keep all of my kids' middle grade books, because I've been working, they're up here out of frame, but I've been working on reestablishing my collection just in general. So I got that. Just kind of, again, I got it for $1 and I used my employee card to buy it, my employee profit sharing card. So yeah, the other thing I bought that wasn't a book is a DVD. I got a copy of Amelie. I really wanted, my boyfriend and I like to watch movies together. He lives across the country from me, so we have to watch movies. We each have to have our own copy of a movie. So basically, I've decided to start buying films that are difficult for us to get the same versions of. That way I can... I shouldn't talk about this. So I got this so that me and my boyfriend could watch it. So now let's get into the books that I purchased. I'd prefer to start with the nonfiction, but it's all at the bottom of the stack. So whatever, can't be helped. I will start with the middle grade. I picked up a copy of The Last Dragonslayer by Jasper Fforde. Jasper Fforde wrote The Air Affair and that entire book series, which I am quite a big fan of. This is his middle grade series, which I do own the third book. I don't know where it is. I own the third book in this series because I got it really cheap, ironically, at the store I now work, but I bought it years before I worked there. And so yeah, I picked this up. I don't have the second book, but now I can read this. Again, another one of those like middle grade series that I really want to get around to reading. This nice copy. I also picked up a copy of Furthermore by Tahara Mafi. This came in at the store. It didn't sell, and so I just decided to pick it up because it's like, it's actually an ARC copy, but it's basically unread. And I feel like there's like some mixed feelings about this. Some people really liked this one. Some people preferred the sequel. I figured I'd go ahead and give it a try though. Because it's like, you know, fantasy. I think it's got a cool concept with colors. I know the other books follow different characters, which I think sounds interesting. And yeah, man, the cover is just beautiful, just gorgeous. And I want to read more middle grade. And I have not read anything by Tahara Mafi, even though I know she's quite a, you know, popular YA author. So I figured I'd give this a go. I also picked up a copy of Fly By Night by Frances Hardage. This is one of Frances Hardage's older books. I think this came out in 2005, but I've never read anything by her. This says, imagine a world in which all books have been banned. That's what this says. This is like a sticker they put over the front cover. So it says, Mosca Mai hasn't got much. Her cruel uncle keeps her locked up in his mill, and her only friend is her pet goose. But she does have one small rare thing, the ability to read. She doesn't know it yet, but in a world where books are dangerous things, this gift will change her life. So yeah, I've always wanted to read something by Frances Hardage, and this came across my sorting table, so I decided to grab it. And it sounds fun. It sounds like hopefully maybe something I can pass on to my niece in a year or two when she's reading chunky books like this. We'll see. Then we'll get into the adult fiction I purchased. I got all 3 of these books at a $1 day sale at work. So with tax, each of these was $1.09, and I didn't actually spend any of that money because I had money on my employee card, which again is like a bonus I get for quarterly for working there. Then I got 5 adult trade or hardcover books. I purchased these on a 50-cent day that we do every Thursday for adult trades and hardcovers, and then I got my employee discount. So with tax, each of these books was like 27 cents. The first thing I picked up was a copy of Year One by Nora Roberts. Specifically, I picked this one up because it's in a trade paperback. I prefer trades to hardcovers just because I have to take the cover off a hardcover to like carry it to and from work, and trades are just easier. And I mostly see this in hardback. But so this is one of Nora Roberts' new series. I've never read Nora Roberts. I did finally get a copy of Naked in Death, but this is her new, like, near future dystopian series. I think there's a technological disaster, and it's now kind of like a survival situation. And I think there's an aspect of like ESP, like maybe people are developing ESP. Not entirely sure, but I do want to try out Nora Roberts, and so I kind of feel like this and Naked in Death are like good places to start because it's more of her. It's not so romance heavy because I'm not really feeling the romance. I feel like both of those books have much more like other genres mixed in, so I think they're good places to start. Yeah. I also got a copy of Breath of Earth by Beth Cato. I have never seen anyone talk about this, but this is like, it sounds really interesting. So that's why I picked it up. I think it's the first in a duology or a trilogy by Beth Cato. It says, in an alternate 1906, the United States and Japan have forged a powerful confederation, the United Pacific, in an attempt to dominate the world. Their first target is vulnerable China. In San Francisco, headstrong Ingrid Carmichael is assisting a group of powerful geomancer wardens who have no idea of the depth of her own talent, or that she is the only woman to possess such skills. So I think this is alternative history steampunk. And oh, look at that gorgeous cover. She's like a geomancer. I'm really interested in this. We'll see if it's good. I'm hoping maybe this is like an underhyped fantasy gem. Steampunk gem. Okay. Then I also got a copy of Between Two Thorns by Emma Newman. This is, I think, Emma Newman's fantasy series. It's the Split Worlds trilogy. Something is wrong in Aquasulis, Bath's secret mirror city. So this might be historical, alternate universe fantasy, like set in our universe, but like there's an alternate history fantasy element. Not sure, but you know how much I love Emma Newman, so I was super excited to see this come in at the store. And then these last two are not fantasy or science fiction. One of them, we had a couple of these come in, and I only grabbed one. I should have grabbed more. But it's Nancy Clue and the Hardly Boys in A Ghost in the Closet. So this is a Nancy Drew Hardy Boy super mystery spoof, published by Claes Press, who is an LGBT press. I don't know if they're still around, but they used to publish queer novels, and it's a spoof on Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. So I don't know if you know this. Well, you wouldn't know this, but as a child, I was a huge Nancy Drew and Hardy Boy fan. I read like all of the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boy files and case files, which were like the 80s, 90s little mini paperbacks mysteries. Loved them. Was obsessed with them. There was also a sub-series called The Super Mysteries, which was Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys in a super mystery, teaming up together, working together to solve a case. Loved those so much. So I am so excited for this little spoof, because it's by a queer press. There must be something queer about it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this book. And then the last thing I picked up is a total just like, I just grabbed it because I was putting books on the shelf and I saw it. So I want to read more cozy mysteries because I think they're so charming. I haven't necessarily read much because I don't think Elizabeth Peters necessarily counts as like cozy, but I love the idea of cozy mysteries and I want to find one that I really like. And I also love cozy mysteries that have like extras in them. So something cozy mysteries like to do is they like to do, like, there's this whole subgenre of cozy mysteries that have cooking, and I've gotten one of these before. There was like, where is it? It's probably behind this stack of books, that had a bunch of like baking puns, and the protagonist is a caterer. Well, in that same kind of vein, there's this whole type of cozy mystery where they include recipes at the back of the book. And I love cooking. And so I'm looking for a series that does that I like. So I picked this up. It is called Cake and Punishment by Mamie Bell. and it is a Southern cake baker mystery. And this is the first one in the series. And it includes cake recipes at the back of the book. Or actually more than just cake recipes. Southern skillet apple pie, banana pudding cupcakes, Kentucky butter cupcakes. So I think it's about a girl who like is disillusioned with life and moves to a small town and becomes like a wedding cake decorator, and there's probably murder. So we're gonna try this again. It was 27 cents, and I figure it'll be entertaining, and then I can bake something out of it, maybe do a book review. That would be fun, right? Actually, it'd be really fun if like I baked something for the video and then talked about the book. Maybe that's what I'll do. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a try. It just sounded fun. Who's the protagonist? What's the protagonist's name? It takes place in Kentucky. Broken-hearted Sophia Cummings has come home from New York City. She's not there a minute before she's charmed into making her high school friend Charlotte's wedding cake. I'm sure there'll be murder. So yeah, really excited for this. And then we're going to finish this book haul off with some nonfiction. So the first thing I got was Doc Maynard by Bill Spiedel. This is the sequel, or not a sequel, but this is like a companion book to another Bill Spiedel book I have up there. He is a local Seattle historian. There's Bill. He started the Seattle Underground Tour. He like really pioneered that. And he's written a couple of history books. So this is about Doc Maynard, who I want to say was like the first mayor of Seattle. I'm not really sure. But again, there's a historical fiction fantasy series I really want to write about that takes place in Seattle. And so I want to read some of these historical books about Seattle's early foundings. The next thing I also got was for book writing research, and that is Life in a Medieval Village by Francis and Joseph Keyes. So this is, they've created a lively and convincing portrait of rural people at work and at play 700 years ago, focusing on the village of Elton in the English East Midlands. The authors show medieval peasants not merely as tenants and elements in the manorial system, but as members of the village community. So I just don't know. I don't have a lot of knowledge of medieval life, but I definitely know that what we see in the films is not necessarily very accurate. So I really want to do some more research into that, because I have a couple of book series that I want to kind of base off of various medieval things, but I want to have a better understanding of like common folk life and work before I do that. So this is a book that I wanted to rent from the library for a long time, but when it came in at the store, I could get it for $1, so I decided to go ahead and grab it. Because I do feel like it's always better to have your research materials, like, own them, so that you can, like, reference back to them, so you can take notes in them. Another thing I picked up was Lasagna Gardening by Patricia Lanza. So this is a style of gardening where you build up layers of vegetation, different types of vegetation, to create a really rich environment to garden in. And this book specifically has tips for planting different types of plants. My boyfriend really wants to have a garden when we eventually buy a house, and I'm really all for that. He knows a lot more about gardening than I do. I'm not much of a gardener, but I want to learn more about it. So this looked like a really beginner-friendly book to start with. That's why I picked that up. And then the last thing I bought, actually for, again, book research, is this really cool book called The English Castle by Francois Matarazzo. Probably butchering that last name. And this is like, so this has various layouts and dimensions of castles. And like actually talks about the scale of them and like some construction techniques. I don't know how well this is coming across. It's kind of it's like a very black and white book, but it like literally has scale information for the layouts. And again, I don't really know anything about castles or like medieval architecture or anything like that. So I thought this was a really cool find for reference material. And then the last thing I purchased nonfiction was for me, and it was a cookbook, and that is the Martha Stewart cookbook. So this is just like her collected everyday recipes. It's a nice, thick, chunky book. and it's got everything. It's kind of like a Joy of Cooking, but it's like the Martha Stewart Joy of Cooking. You know, all the different sections, like eggs, vegetables, desserts, hors d'oeuvres, yeah, meat. Just a ton of recipes, no pictures, just the recipes. And yeah, I really like Martha Stewart's recipes. I think she's got a lot of good ones, and I wanted to add that to my collection of cookbooks. So that's everything I purchased in February. I think that was a very reasonable book haul. 17 books. Half of them are like nonfiction books, so does that even count? I don't know. I think I was very restrained this month. Let me know if any of these books sound interesting or if you've read them before, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!